Often the source of stress is the mind, like thinking in the future or ruminating in the past. The mind is somewhere other than here, and those are things that either haven't happened or things that have happened, and we can't hit rewind to go back and redo them. So bringing the focus back to the now is what helps to reduce that stress response.
I think that it's really hard to stay in the present, especially when sometimes the present feels unknowable, right? When we feel like we don't have a lot of ability to understand what's happening, we don't have a lot of control. So it's easy to get stuck in the past or the future. And it's true that those things generally tend to keep us from being able to exist in the present in helpful ways. I think there are kind of three sets of strategies you could use for rumination. One of them is to lean into the rumination for a bit. One of them is to evaluate what's happening when you're ruminating. And one of them is to move on. So lean in, evaluate, move on. Leaning in skills that you could use could be like, for example, thinking about what is your big fear right now? And giving yourself some time to really think about what are you afraid of? And then what's the worst that could happen? So I'm afraid that I'm never going to get to go back to school. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? I would do homeschool. What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst? And you follow that all the way to conclusion. And a lot of times, the conclusion is not as bad as the feeling you have. And so these things are counterintuitive to lean into the rumination because what we try to do generally as people is ignore those feelings. The problem is that doesn't work. It doesn't work to ignore feelings. They just keep circling around. And sometimes they get louder because they're demanding to be heard. Evaluation strategies, you can call a friend you trust and someone that you know has the space to be able to hear. It's a good thing to say, do you have space to talk to me? Do you have the emotional space to talk to me right now? But if they do, let someone that you trust help you think through the thing you can't stop thinking about. So moving on can look like deep breathing, to take 5 slow, deep breaths. One of the things I teach a lot is a strategy called rate, breathe, rate. And so when you're doing deep breathing, a lot of times we want to do a few breaths and then I feel perfectly better. That's not the way it works. And so what we can do instead is first you rate your anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10. Then you're going to take 5 deep breaths all the way down to the bottom of your diaphragm. And when you're breathing and your lungs increase, this is the way that you address anxiety in your brain. Because you're breathing, you're taking deep breaths, your lungs actually open all the way up forward and all the way back. They touch your vagal nerve. They send messages up your vagal nerve to your brain to say, the danger's past, you can calm down. So you take 5 deep breaths and then you rate again. So you rate, breathe, rate. And on the second rating, anxiety 1 to 10, you're looking for your anxiety to come down by half. So if you're at an 8, you're looking for a 4. If you're at a 6, you're looking for a 3. You're not trying to get your anxiety to go away completely. You're just trying to make it go down enough that you can move on.